And so we see it wasn't just the identity of God that was at stake at Nicaea. It was also the nature of salvation. Because having imagined a different sort of God, Arianism actually presented a different gospel with a different sort of salvation. Think about it. If the Son was a mere creature, if the Son is infinitely subordinate to God, unlike God, well, then the Son can never have known true intimate communion with God, right? The Son is utterly unlike God. He could only have ever known God from a great distance. But then, if the Son never knew true communion with God, how could he share communion with God with us? He never knew God. For Arius, there could be no true communion with God. And in any case, the lonely God of Arius wasn't interested in communion. After all, it wasn't as if the Father ever loved the Son in Arianism. Think about the relationship between the Father and the Son in Arianism. The Son was just God's hired workman, there to do a job, created for the task of dealing with the universe for God. That means their relationship was entirely performance-based. And so if the Bible ever spoke of the Father's pleasure in the Son, it can only be because the Son had done a good job of the task assigned to him. Do you see, here is an employer God who always deals with his creatures contractually. And so no wonder Arianism, and I include modern day Arianism, such as Jehovah's Witnesses, entirely fail to grasp a salvation that is by grace alone. Arius' God was not a fatherly God of kindness and grace or love. And the problems go even deeper. If God is not motivated by love for his Son, what should motivate us if we're made in the image of God? God doesn't love his Son. Well, if we're made in the image of a contractual God, we must be made simply to perform rightly. Ah, well then, no need for a new birth. No need for a new heart that is turned to love God instead of sin. So what? Just do the right things. So you could ask, well, in that case, in what sense could the Arians even talk about salvation? What sort of salvation did they even imagine? Remember, as they saw it, the Son was an infinitely inferior being. As they saw it, the Son rose by his works to merit for himself a place on the throne of heaven. And so, do you remember, just as God used the Son as his hired help, now the Son is going to use God to get himself a heavenly glory he had never enjoyed before. When the Son ascends to the throne of heaven in Arianism, he's going to a place he's never been before. He's never been entitled to before. And so the Arian Son shows us the Arian way of salvation, we are to copy him and ascend to God by works. A subordinate son meant a salvation by works. The Arian son made for an entirely different Arian way of salvation. In polar, beautiful contrast, Nicaea proclaimed the Son is one being with the Father. This one had always been at the Father's side. Eternally begotten, eternally beloved. And therefore, he doesn't do anything that he's doing for his own advancement. No, as the Creed says, for us, for our salvation, he came down and was incarnate and made man. He suffered and third day rose again, ascended into heaven. When the Son ascended into heaven, he was not rising to a glory he'd never enjoyed before. He was going home. Amen. To the throne that was always his, now taking us in him to enjoy his blessedness, his communion with his Father, his sonship. For Nicaea, the Son was not an example of how to climb up to God. The Son is God himself come down, achieving everything for our salvation, uniting himself with us so that we can enjoy his fullness of life.